Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Pointless Top 10, a show where we make top 10 lists of pointless things, where we fly and buy Pointless Statue in Booty Bay, because inside pointless things are treasure. Let's begin. 10. Number 10 is Gnomus, and Gnomus is a gnome quest giver located at Wildhammer's Stronghold in Shadowmoon Valley. And the first thing that makes Gnomus unusual is he is a gnome wearing a purple outfit and flip-flops dancing on bleachers in Shadowmoon Valley, which is just a really weird combination of things, and it gets weirder. So when you talk to him, he has a quest called Splendid, and he says, "Have you ever heard of a food that cooks itself and stays hot forever? Dare to dream, I say. But maybe it's not a dream at all. Outside the fortress, near the lava pools and streams, you can find beasts that thrive in the sizzling heat, and they're called Fellfire Diametrodons. The dwarves around here tell me that those Diametrodons have the tastiest spleens ever, and that the spleens practically come pre-cooked. Bring me those spleens and I'll give you some coin." And so yeah, you go and you get him his spleens, and then when you bring him back, he hungrily grabs at the spleens and says, "Here's your coin. I'll call for you if I need more spleens. So delicious. I dare say that they are splendid." He also has a quest where you have to get a Diametrodon gizzard, and then one where you have to fight a giant Diametrodon for its hide. He's also the inventor of the Arcanoscorps, which are mechanical scorpids in the Shadowmoon Valley. And so yeah, Gnomus is just extremely weird, extremely unusual, and that's why he's perfect for this list, and that's why he's number 10. 9. Number 9 is Roua, and Roua is a jungle troll found dancing in the Inn of Stonebreaker Hold in the Terrakar Forest. And I always thought it was weird that there's just this random troll dancing by some crates in Stonebreaker Hold sometimes, and I looked it up on Wowhead, and it says he spawns as someone completes the final code quest. All members of the camp are hiding in fear of getting bombed, so when he hears the news of the disarming of the bomb, he comes out dancing. And if you don't know the final code quest, that's a quest where you have to disarm a mana bomb located at Firewing Point in the eastern part of Terrakar Forest. I also think it's kind of unusual because he's usually always dancing whenever I check to see if he's there, so I don't know if they just made it so he's always dancing now, or if it's just like there's a timer after somebody completes the quest where he dances for like, I don't know, a few hours or something. But yeah, I pretty much always see him here, and I think it's pretty fun, right? He's so happy that that mana bomb has been defused that he's just been dancing for years and years, and he's just gonna keep on dancing, and that's pretty great. So that's why Roua is number 9. 8. Number 8 are Naja and Saurin, and Naja and Saurin are goblin children located in Area 52 in Netherstorm. And the unusual thing about these two NPCs is that they're supposed to be goblin children, but they actually just look like adult goblins. And all that they do is Saurin just chases Naja all around Area 52, and that's it. Like, I don't know why, and that's one of the reasons I always just found it unusual. It's one of the first things I put on this list, because I was like, why are these so-called goblin children just like chasing each other around? Or Saurin's chasing Naja around, I should say. It does say on Wowhead that Soren Kierkegaard was a famous existential philosopher, and there's a book called Naja written by a French surrealist, and the entire book has an existential undertone starting with the first sentence, "Who am I?" So maybe this is some sort of reference to that of like, why are these goblin children even running around? They're not even children. Like, what's going on, right? Maybe there's some sort of weird surrealist undertones going on here. I have no idea, but it's pretty unusual. And so that's why Naja and Saurin are number 8. 7. Number 7 is Bort, and Bort is an orc quest giver located in Orgrimmar. And Bort has an unusual obsession with Stranglethorn Vale, and so he's got numerous quotes about it, one of which is, "Stranglethorn, babe, that's where it's at." He also says, "You ever been to the jungle? It's real nice." And, "Ah, to be back in Stranglethorn, the screeching raptors, the troll wars, jungle creatures as far as the eye can see, just asking to be killed." Bort sighs. And then sometimes he'll just say, "Hi." And I think Bort might be a Simpsons reference, because there's an episode where Bart's looking at a bunch of novelty license plates that have names on them, and he's like, they don't have any Bart ones, but they have Bort. Who's named Bort? And then some kid picks up the Bort license plate, and he's like, "Mommy, I want the Bort license plate." And she's like, "No, we don't need that. Come along, Bort." And then some guy's like, "Are you talking to me?" And then she's like, "No, my son is also named Bort." But yeah, I just think it's unusual that there's an orc named Bort in Orgrimmar that's obsessed with Stranglethorn Vale that might be a Simpsons reference. It's just like a weird combination of stuff, but either way, that's why Bort is number 7. 6. Number 6 is Dundae the Toralus Wrangler, and Dundae is an abomination leftover located in the Wrangler Pit in Maldraxxus. And so there are a few unusual things about Dundae, the first of which is that he is a leftover abomination, which is essentially just an abomination that didn't work out. And so he's got like weird goat feet. He's got a big eye and jaws and like stitched together parts. Like he looks pretty weird. But on top of that, he is a Taurus wrangler and he's wearing like a cowboy hat or something. And so when I looked it up, it appears that he could be a Crocodile Dundee reference, which would make sense. But my favorite part is when you talk to him and he says, "You might learn a few things working for me." Or maybe not. And then he offers you a quest where he says, "I've carved out quite the reputation as a Taurus wrangler. Everyone needs a Taurus. You do some work for me and people will know who you are as well. Take this bone splinter and poke a few juicy nibblers. Use them to lure a Taurus to you and then write it back to me." And then you gotta do that 5 times. And so yeah, for all those reasons, he's a pretty unusual NPC. And so that's why I put him on the list. So that's why Dundae is number 6. 5. Number 5 are the unusual patrons of Bismos Brawl Pub, which is the Alliance Brawlers Guild. And this is just one of those places where I think they had a lot of fun designing it because so many NPCs here are just really weird or unusual, starting with Keith the Party Weston, who says, "There's not nearly enough dancing in this club." And then there's Sniffy Pete, who says, "I need to get some medication for my allergies. A few nights back, some guy threw a ball and told me to fetch. In response, I did the same, but with his head. Needless to say, he didn't have a witty comeback." And then there's Flora, who says, "Druids can sometimes be so serious, but I'm a real party animal. Yes, that was a joke. You should laugh." Now, I always cheer for Gordome anytime he's up. That angry little shovel tusk makes quick work of the slow chubby ones. And then there's Vera Violet Bustle, who says, "You're better off not trusting anything I say. In fact, disregard this." And "This place is great. Anywhere else I'd be called a violent sociopath." Well, they call me that here too, but at least they say it to my face with a smile. And of course, we have Lord Winifred Brown, who says, "Who are you? I can assure you that everything here is perfectly legitimate. Good ma'am, we are just a pair of wealthy entrepreneurs enjoying a little friendly blood sport without any gold-changing hands." And so yeah, there's some other ones as well, but this place is just loaded with weird and unusual NPCs, and so that's why I had to put it on the list. So that's why the NPCs of Bismos Brawl Pub are number 5. 4. Number 4 is Benjamin Caravan, and the Caravans are a human family living in Darkshire in Duskwood. And what's so unusual about Benjamin is that he's located upstairs in a room with 5 chairs surrounding a bear rug, and he is just going insane. He's running around the chairs, he's running on the chairs, he's jumping over the chairs, he's running through the chairs. He's going crazy. And then sometimes he'll just stop running around and just look out the window. And then sometimes he picks something up off the floor, like he found a coin on the floor or something, and then that's it. That's like the 3 things that he does, is stare out the window, pick up a coin, and run around these chairs like a crazy person. And after reading some Wowhead comments, it appears that this has been happening since at least 2010, so who knows how long he's been running around upstairs, but it is extremely unusual. And part of me thinks that they did this just because it's in Darkshire and Duskwood, right? Like it adds that creepy factor to it. I feel like if this was happening in any other zone, it would be like, yeah, he's probably just bugging out or glitching out. But the fact that it's in Duskwood, I feel like they did this intentionally to make it kind of creepy and weird for when you discover this kid. So either way, that's why Benjamin Caravan is number 4. 3. Number 3 is Rupert the Gentleman Elemental, and Rupert is an Earth Elemental located at the Dragonscale base camp in the Waking Shore, as well as the Zarlek Cavern. And Rupert is indeed quite the distinguished gentleman. He's wearing a little top hat, and when you talk to him, he's like, "Good day to you. It is my pleasure to make your acquaintance." And when you ask him how he can help you, he says, "Goodness! Well, I do like to have a fine old time exploring, and Navarra told me that you have been climbing around the Dragon Isles. I would so like to see those places, and if at all possible, it would be wonderful if I could assist you during those excursions. I can be quite the helping hand." Oh yeah, also he has a monocle. I should have mentioned that with the top hat, but he does have a monocle as well. And if you go questing with him in the Zarlek Cavern, you can actually talk to him, and he'll be like, "I'm not going any further, if that's okay with you. Do you require assistance to return to the camp?" And then you can talk to him to return to the camp. Yeah, I wish we just had more unusual NPCs like Rupert. He kind of reminds me of Sir Finley a little bit, but I think it's even funnier because he's just this massive rock elemental with a top hat and monocle, and he's like, "Good day." So yeah, that's why Rupert the Gentleman Elemental is number 3. 2. Number 2 are Sigrun Ironhue and Josh R. Rock Bison. And Sigrun Ironhue is a dwarf quest giver located in a small camp south of Hammertoe's dig site in the Badlands, and Josh R. Rock Bison is an orc found in Warspear in Ashran. And the reason I put them on the list is they are both very unusual drunks. And so Sigrun Ironhue is an unusual drunk because he's constantly in a state of tipsiness or drunkenness, and he's like, and he's like seemingly about to fall fall over or pass out or something. But then when you talk to him for a quest, he acts extremely normal. But occasionally while he's talking, he'll like go back to that weird drunken state. It's kind of unsettling. But anyway, his quest involves him talking about how he wants to do less digging and more drinking. And so he wants you to go get 15 mugs of Shadow Stout. And so you bring him the beer and he licks his lips in anticipation. And then he instantly downs a dusty mug of Shadow Stout. And he's like, wow, this stuff is strong. I knew they had beer, but I never expected them to have Shadow Stout. That's my favorite Shadow beer. Then he gives you a quest to go find treasure in the bottom floor of the Angor Fortress, and he'd go with you, but he's drunk. So you go and do that for him and fight like a whole bunch of stuff, and then go back to him, and he's like, wow, thanks, here you go, and he just gives you like some Dustwind Cowl, which I think is worth far less than the actual treasure is. Meanwhile, then we have Josh our Rock Bison, and he follows a set route where he goes and orders a drink. He then downs that drink very quickly, and then he heads out to the outhouses and uses the outhouse, and then after a short amount of time, he returns to the tavern and repeats the process. And that's really it. That's what I find so unusual about it. They just added in a drunk orc that was like, I gotta keep drinking and peeing, and that's all he does. That's his whole purpose. And so yeah, it's just two very unusual drunk NPCs, and that's why they're number 2. And number 1 is Barnaby Fletcher, the Washed Up Mage. And the Washed Up Mage is located in the underbelly of Dalaran and can be found there behind a sewer grate where he's asleep or passed out, most likely passed out because he's actually the start and finish of a quest which rewards you with the cooking recipe for Kungaloosh, which is the alcohol that you learn how to make in Sholazar Basin. And so when you have the quest and click on him in the sewer, it says, above the stale, unwashed stench, you catch a whiff of a familiar smell. It appears as if this once mighty adventurer has a real love for Kungaloosh. Peeking through the bars, you can barely make out the recipe written on his arm. And honestly, I don't even know how he got back here behind the sewer grate. Like, it's easy to get into the sewer, but getting behind these grates seems kind of crazy. There's like some areas where maybe he could have gotten into, but I don't know. However, that's not all that makes this guy unusual. So as of patch 5.1 in Mist of Pandaria, he shows up as Barnaby Fletcher in the Half Hill Market occasionally and peddles a new type of seed to take advantage of the tiller's hospitality. However, the seeds that he actually sells are just unstable portal shards that you plant and open a one-shot portal to a major city. And he's got a few unusual quotes such as, "Can you believe these people just set out free food? This place is amazing. 4 months magic free and it feels great." And "discovering the power in these shards gave me the will to drag myself out of the gutter and get my life together. Oh, and I was also kicked out." But yeah, I just thought he was one of the most unusual NPCs in World of Warcraft, and that's why he's number 1. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Pointless Top 10. If you want more Top 10s, you go watch Coolest Arenas in World of Warcraft from last week, or if you want more NPC stuff, you could watch Forgotten NPCs that still exist. Also, like the video and comment below your favorite unusual NPC in World of Warcraft. Okay? Okay. See you.